Hello and welcome back to game 3 of the online deck series I'm doing with my Kate deck. This is Jesse Marshall from the Winning Agenda. This hand's pretty bad. I generally don't like having heaps of programs in my opening hand, and even though I've got a contacts, I'm going to mulligan that. This one's a little bit better. Thankfully, still got a contacts, and also got a Plascrete, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to run that agenda. Sorry, that remote. And if it's an agenda, then we've at least got Plascrete. We'll leave the pad. 2, 3. I think we can afford to use contacts again here and just get rid of that Escher, although that being said, we can now get rid of that contacts because that's not very useful. Alright, so the plan here against Harpsichord is that we want to get that Plascrete down, we want to get a Film Critic in play, Film Critic or 2, and then hopefully be able to go to town on R&D. We have no idea at this point what our opponent's doing. Sweep, Sweep, and Pad Campaign, pretty standard NBN fare. So we're not sure if we're trying to be scorched out or anything of that sort, but it never pays to be careless against a deck like Harpsichord. So I think we can afford to draw again here. Technical Rider, that's great. And then we'll lay out the Plascrete. So having Technical Rider and Plascrete early is nice. Technical Rider for the economy build-up, Plascrete because it gives us a bit of protection in terms of our runs. Once we see a little bit more influence, we'll have some more of an idea what our opponent is trying to do. Also, once we see, I guess, some more cards played, whether we're seeing a fast advance variant or a never advance variant, or just a pure kill deck, we're not sure at this point. I also think I want to have a self-modifying code before I start face-checking ice, just because NBN does have a little bit of sort of scary old ice going around these days in terms of traces, and certainly don't want to be running into traces, copying a tag, etc., possibly some damage when we're so low at the moment. We're also not under a heap of pressure, so I think we can afford to chill out a little bit. We might see some news teams go into archives. News team is a good new card from Data and Destiny, one that threatens to give you tags or forces you to take negative agenda points as the runner. Once it's in the Corp deck, there's not really that much you can do about it as the runner, because you get punished wherever you access it from, so you can't really stop yourself from running just for fear of the news team. First click here will contacts. Parasite, generally something that's quite good against NBN decks. I'm going to run archives here, even if it's a news team, not really that fast at this point. But our opponent did draw a lot last turn, and the information that we get here is going to be useful. So in 24/7 News Cycle and the All-Seeing Eye. Surprised that the All-Seeing Eye is getting trashed there. It's good to know that that is in the deck, because getting Technical Riders and contacts trashed is not something we really want to see happening here. The second Plascrete, not as good as the first, but given that 24/7 News Cycle indicates that we're probably seeing some sort of Scorch deck, I think once you've got the second Plascrete down, you can be pretty sure you're safe. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to pitch the Parasite, actually, because I prefer playing them with clone chips than playing them from my hand, and I do have a clone chip in my hand. So Parasite is sort of, I guess, the number one target as far as I'm concerned for recurring with clone chip. Clot probably also a good target against this sort of deck, but if we are seeing a Butcher Shot variant, we may not see as many fast advanced tactics. Okay, so a couple of remotes coming down here, which may indicate that there's a couple of agendas. So if we can draw a Film Critic in our first click, that would be nice, but we can't. So I'll just run this first remote, see what we find. Sure. So we'll assume that that's an Astro, the second one. 2 clicks and 3 credits, not exactly where we want to be here. I think just getting out clone ship or corroder. And getting our corroder here is good. I mean, it means that if we see a wraparound, we can deal with that reasonably easily. Oh, I didn't realize how to click. I probably could have contacts first and then played out that clot, but that's okay. The clot in the bin is going to be nice here. Against an Astro, it's always nice to have the clot once they have Astro counters. First click will draw. Alright, so code, I mean, code with 4 credits is not the best thing in the world, but it is good to get it out. Oh, probably should have played the clone ship first. There we go, cost myself a credit. That was not very smart. Film Critic, also a nice one against the Half-Score deck. So had I played those things in the correct order, I would have had a little more in the way of credits, 1 more to be precise. But now that we've got the sort of SMC clone ship going, hopefully this Technical Rider will get out of control pretty quickly and be able to give us a boost, seeing as we haven't drawn any of our event economy yet. Alright, so seeing the hand getting filled here, I think we're in a pretty good position. I mean, we've now got all of the tools really that we need to combat this deck. We've got a couple of Plascretes, a Film Critic, and some breakers. So, pardon me, I think we will clone ship first, then Film Critic, then run HQ. See what we've got here for 15 credits. That's fine. Always good to know about Data Raven. It means that we can look to set up an Atman at 4 to be able to get through that and remove the tags efficiently. We'll contacts again here to round out the turn. Again, another Technical Rider will be nice because we're going to be seeing a lot of installs here off the clone ships and the SMC in the next few turns. So the first Technical Rider will help us pay for the Atman, and the second Technical Rider will get charged up by us, you know, recurring the clot and the Atman, etc. Hopefully we can find some sort of event economy, a lucky find or sure gamble next turn. That would also be nice to help us progress into the mid game here. So we're not seeing a lot of ice from the opponent. Not quite sure what could be going on in this remote. I mean, we've got access to pretty much everything now. So I'm not sure that 1 ice of any kind is really going to keep us out. So we'll install the Technical Rider first. Contact second, see if we can find some economy. No. Let's see. I think we'll just run it. With 4 cards in hand, we should be reasonably safe. We do have a click to remove any tags that may come our way. If this is, you know, a snare or something, that could be a little bit unfortunate. Still haven't seen any influence yet. Alright, so that's fine. We'll trash the snare and remove the tag. Yeah, so obviously not an ideal turn, but we did manage to get the second Technical Rider down, which means that now if we see an agenda being attempted to be scored, we're going to be able to install the clot and get the double Technical Rider install, which is nice. I think we'll just install the clot now in case we see a shipment from Sansan. Alright. So let's contacts first 2 clicks, just so we don't die to snare. Let's technical writer, run the newest remote. And if it's another snare, we're not going to die anyway, so that's fine. We'll steal the Chronos project. Always handy to get that one out of the way. Could be another agenda we're seeing here in server 6, but not too concerned about that, considering that we have the clot to deal with the Astro. So I think now is the time that we can really start racing on R&D. I mean, it's unfortunate that we haven't really drawn much of our R&D pressure. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I mean, we're set up over the next couple of turns. If we can now find a Maker's Eye, possibly another interface, then that will help us to dig the remaining agendas we require off R&D. Gutenberg, not a huge problem. I mean, strength 6 sentries are sort of annoying for this deck, but we're willing, I think, to cop the trace. Possibly not. Let's see. Yeah, running into that on the last click, not ideal. However, yep, let's just let them fire the trace. Yep, so they're not boosting. That's fine. I mean, we can fight this trace. And then recover from that reasonably easily next turn. And then for future encounters, we can just remove the tag with an extra click. So we'll continue here, access, and hopefully find something relevant. No. News team, alright. So there's that slightly annoying news team that was mentioned earlier. However, I still think we're in quite a good position here because we do have this clot that's going to slow our opponent down. And although it's 4 points to 1 at this point, I think the inevitability is with us as long as we can consistently keep scoring agendas. Remember, with Harpsichord, we're not going to be able to score more than 1 per turn. However, next turn we will get down our second film critic, so those big impactful R&D runs will come back for us. So there goes the Purge. Obviously, our opponent wanting to score from hand in the next couple of turns. I think this turn we can just spend playing out Sure Gambles. Yeah, we can play both. We don't need to telegraph our second film critic just yet. So we can end the turn, install the clot again. I mean, the other thing we could have done, I guess, a few turns ago is to parasite that Data Raven, but I think having the extra turns of clot is kind of nice. We'll just do that now. Because we don't want them to be fast advancing that. And Sleep Sweaking. Okay, so I think now we can think about going Tag Me. We don't want to lose all of our resources, but we might want to, I don't know, we'll think about it. We'll see what we draw here. We might want to give it a couple more turns before we do that and possibly be on a slightly higher agenda point count than 1. So let's run server 6 because I have a feeling that was an agenda. And then I think we'll go in on HQ. Alright, marked accounts, and then we'll take on HQ here, take the tag, let our opponent trace. Presumably they're not going to be putting a heap of credits into this trace. I think very happy to pay a couple of credits at this point to still deny the tag. And we're just seeing the hedge fund again. That's a little bit annoying. And then we'll remove the tag. So we'll add one, and then we'll remove it. We'll end that turn there. So possibly could have got a data sucker there with the self-modifying code. Might have been nice just so then we could develop into the mimic rig over the next couple of turns. I think I might actually do that now. Fuels the technical writer as well as fueling out breakers. So we'll draw a couple of times. Sure gamble. That's unfortunate we're not really seeing the multi-access here. It's quite frustrating. Sort of stuff not to do. I mean, we're probably gonna cop a score next turn. I think we'll just set up the Atman for now on 4. That's going to get us into HQ. It's going to let us break the Gutenberg after we've done a couple of HQ runs. Yeah, so it's a bit tough. We're in a bit of a tough spot here. Not really seeing as much multi-access as we would have liked. That 3 net damage from the snare proved to be a little bit more annoying than I first thought in terms of losing that Maker's Eye as well as that modded, which would have been nice for these 4-cost breakers that we've got in hand. So unfortunate that we missed on that Beal. So now let's we'll contact once, I think, and then run HQ a couple of times, and then run R&D. And that Maker's Eye is exactly what we wanted. So we can run HQ twice now. We're just really going to have to go tag me now. We can... probably should have not installed the Atman then. I mean, the reason that we did that was that we didn't know that there was going to be a Beal coming next turn. And we could have assumed, given that there was a purge, but you can never quite be sure, and it's better to be safe than sorry. Look, I still think it's worth breaking here, to be honest, actually. So I'm going to break. Because the thing about a Data Raven counter, thing about a Data Raven counter is that it can be used anytime, which is a little bit more annoying. So let's see how we go here. Missed the first time. We have a second shot at HQ. So we'll take a tag. Continue. Hopefully hit an agenda here. Nope. Okay. So we can afford now to Maker's Eye. See what our opponent has by way of ice here. A Gutenberg. Yeah, I think we'll just cop those tags now. If our opponent's going to be trashing our resources, Yeah, I mean, we can host the Explodapalooza because it denies our opponent 5 credits, or we can steal it and allow them to have 5 credits. It's sort of a tough one. I think we'll steal it purely because we're tagged. And then if we see another agenda, we'll host it on the Film Critic. And at that point, information overload is a good one to know, and we'll host the Project BL. So we're, saying to our opponent, you can trash the Film Critic, but at least we've denied that agenda. Unfortunate that the Explodapalooza gave the money to trash the resources. It would have been nice not to have to worry so much about that. One of the things that fueled that tag me strategy, I guess, was the idea that our opponent wouldn't be able to trash our resources without significantly denting their own. So they spent one to draw a card, which is interesting, considering they have a Jackson. So this turn is probably one where we want to be using the Technical Writer. Do we want to install anything first, though? I think we'll draw. Use the Technical Writer. And then just go on R&D again for 2 fresh cards. Hopefully not 2 agendas, which is not something that you often say as the runner. 6. So information overload is going to be a little bit of a pain if that gets put on R&D, now that we have 6 tags, but we sort of don't really have that much of a choice. And it is 2 agendas, that's unfortunate. Could have played the Film Critic first, I guess, just on the off chance that it was 2 agendas, and we've been punished for that. So 4 agenda points. I mean, we can run HQ here, knowing that 2 of the 3 cards our opponent had weren't agendas, and the last one, 2 of the 3 cards our opponent had before last turn weren't agendas, and the 2 they've drawn last turn are agendas, so there's 1 card that could possibly be an agenda, but we'll assume that if they had that in hand last turn, they would have scored it, so I don't think we're going to have any luck there. And we can't steal that last agenda from R&D, so I think we're in a bit of trouble here. We'll just draw a card and say GG. So that's unfortunate. Got a little bit outpaced there by the Astros. Couldn't deal with them all with Clot, or rather probably should have run both of those remotes on the turn when the second Astro came down. Yeah, I think allowing our opponent to have the second Astro just put us a little bit too far behind, and then we failed to draw the multi-access on the turns that we really needed it. GG. So thank you all for watching. That game went a little bit less smoothly than the first couple. We did get set up with the kill avoidance, but by the looks of things, in terms of the cards we saw, that may not have been necessary, although some of those cards that were pitched could have been meat damage. Anyway, that was an interesting game against some of the new cards in Data and Destiny, as well as some of the more powerful NBN Ice that we've seen over the past year. Hope you enjoyed the game. We'll see you for the next and final game with this Kate deck. Hopefully it'll go a little more smoothly. I've been Jesse for The Winning Agenda. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thewinning agenda rather, or you can tune into our podcast every week, every Monday. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.